Hello, and welcome to another episode of Blast Arcade Painting. Today, I'm going to be painting the Orks from the Kill Team Octarius box. And I'm not going to yell that thing that everybody does in every video about Orks ever. Because it's ridiculous. So, if you watched my video about the Death Korp of Krieg, I did the same idea here. I printed out extra orc bodies so I could get all of the options out of the Octarius box. And I started with a coat of Army Painter Black and then a Zenithal coat of white ink through the airbrush. If you want to check out how I did that, please look at the description below and it'll link you to the Death Korp video. So the first thing I do is use Gore-Grunta Fur on the straps and on some of the boots. So basically what I did for this is I took the colors that I wanted and I put them across all the miniatures. So one guy's shirt won't be the same colors as someone else's shirt, but they'll all be the same colors throughout. So things still are going to be uniform color, just different parts. Then I use the same philosophy. I use the Aggaros Dunes. So on this guy, I did it on his pants. Some of the other guys, I'll do it on their shirt. Some of them, I'll do that on the cuffs of the boots. Again, it's just same color scheme across the entire collection of miniatures, just in different areas. So we're still going to keep that uniform sort of idea, just not all in the same spots. And we'll go through the same sort of idea with Space Wolves Grey. So here I switched to Akhelian Green and did this across a couple of the models here and there. I know you're thinking their skin's already green. Why do you need this green? Because I want to. There you go. And sticking with the commando sort of idea, I use Militarum Green on a couple of the miniatures here and there, but mostly on the leader and his jacket. Now there's a ton of metal on these guys, so on everything that's metal I went through and used gunmetal from Vallejo. So, following the same principle, I went through and picked out some areas with Black Templar. This mostly went on most of their boots or gloves. And a couple of miniatures have like shoulder pads. Some of the ones I printed have shoulder pads, but also like the power arm or power claw, I don't know what it's called. And I used Diandon yellow for all that because I wanted to be like that my armor piece color that goes through the whole range. Now, a bunch of these guys are carrying dynamite because why wouldn't you? And I wanted to use Blood Angel's Red for all the dynamite. I also used it on some of the bedrolls and just picked out little details here and there with it. Oh, and obviously on the missile tips and the flamers, oil drum, fuel drum he has on his back, which I think is awesome. He's just carrying around a whole drum. Moving on to the flesh. Across all the miniatures, they all got a coat of Plaguebearer Flesh. I like to use this color last because this color will not show up very well over any of the other colors. So if I'm not careful, this won't really show up over the Gore-Grunta Fur or the Aggaros Dunes. So next up is Mid Brown from the Army Painter. This is a wash. I thin this down 50-50 with water, and I put it over the entire minute. This is going to add some really, really subtle shading. Really subtle. So next I took the dark tone from the Army Painter and I'm going to use this. I thinned it down just a little bit and I'm going to use this on all of the guns, helmets, anything that's metal that I didn't paint with the yellow is going to get this. And I took the Army Painter Moon Dust. This is a really pale yellow, and this is going on all the teeth. And next for all the eyes, I used Beherit Red. This is the same thing I used for the Death Korp eyes. And I just went through and dotted in all their eyes. This is fiddly. Just take your time. And I took the Talassar Blue contrast paint and I just put this over any of the power cords that were hanging around. Next, I took the Vallejo Earth Texture Desert Sand and I put this on all the bases. I love the Vallejo basing texture. It just makes things so much easier and quicker than gluing on sand and coloring that. The only problem is it takes longer to dry, so I usually do this and then leave them overnight. Then I took Gryph-Hound Orange from Contrast Citadel, and I put this across all the bases. This is really going to make it look like a Martian-y sort of wasteland. And with that, these guys are done. I really like these guys. They were a ton of fun to paint. It was kind of fun to just pick parts out, pick up a model, paint it this color, pick up a model, paint it that color, and not really have to have the uniform sort of military color scheme. These were a ton of fun. I really like how they turned out, and it was a fun, it was a good project. So this was more of a basic idea of how I did them. There are a ton of little details on these guys that I went through later and picked out with different colors, like the commander has a screen on his back and some buttons on it. So they're tiny little things like that, but this was more about the idea of showing you how you could just go through and get those main colors blocked in and finished and have them looking pretty good. Anyway, this has been another episode of BlackCrag Painting. Thank you so much for coming and watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, tell other people to do it, whatever you need to do to make me feel better about all my insecurities. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Hello and welcome to another episode of BlackCrag Painting. Today I'm going to be painting orcs from another episode of BlackCrag Painting. Today I'm going to be painting the orcs from the Octarius box from Kill Team. Nope, none, barely a sentence. So next up from the from the Arnty painter.